Yes.
Yeah.
But like the comparison, like with me and some of the other guys.
So that'd be something neat to see, the Harvard Centers.
The Pirates playing in Williams.
Welcome to episode 58 of the Niner Sports Podcast, the home of sports talk for everyone. I'm David.
I'm Jason.
Welcome aboard. Now,
So,
I was going to say it's been a sad day in Philly.
Well, I got something to get to here quick. Remember we were talking about hits?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of my buddies, Michael.
I was gonna say, what did you do?
No, I didn't do anything. So my buddy Michael, from the Rock and Randy's Pro Wrestling Outlaws podcast, sent me a surprise in the mail for my birthday.
Uh-oh.
He sent me a working PS2 with controllers.
Oh, that's fantastic. You know what we're going to have to do now.
Well, I haven't had a chance to hook it up just yet. I'm keeping it safe and sound until I can get the games I want. Because there's a few, obviously. There's hits and a few wrestling games. I want to get Slugfest. Do you remember?
It's fantastic.
Oh, was it NCAA MVP baseball that came out for EA Sports after they lost the MLB license? Do you remember that one? I had it. We might have played it a few times.
I don't remember, to be honest. I do not remember that one.
I want to get that again.
The only NCAA I can remember was football. That's the only one I can remember for any of the consoles.
So yeah, after EA lost the license for MLB, they did 2 NCAA baseball games. I think it was NCAA MVP baseball, not.
Oh, now we got to look that
entirely.
up. Thanks, Jason. That's why we don't have nice things.
Yep, NCAA MVP.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yep.
Well, there you go.
And I got it just on a whim because it was cheap, obviously. And it was a really fun baseball game because it wasn't like I could just play as any team. Like I didn't have to play as my favorite team.
Yeah.
And I've never told anyone this. I don't even think you know this. So I made myself and I made you and put us on the Bucknell college team, and we won the NCAA World Series.
Nice. You didn't name us Pecker, did you?
No. They actually had David and Jason as names in the games.
Oh, which is a rarity.
Well, David's a pretty easy name to have in.
Sometimes, though, you don't find it for some reason. You always get
you know what? I go back to the fact that Hits had Dag. That still kills me.
That is funny, but we still named you Pecker.
I've never seen that in another game. I've only ever seen it in Hits 03.
But the sad part is, instead of picking that name, we always pick Pecker.
No, in 03 I was Dag, and you were David.
Oh,
but Travis was Pecker.
Fitting.
But yeah, I just wanted to give Mike a big shout out because that was really awesome that he did that.
Well, you know what we're going to have to do now? Figure it out how to record the game.
Well, it works. So the fact that it works is awesome because he tested it multiple times before he sent it to me and sent me like screenshots and stuff. So I knew I was getting it. I didn't know I was getting it for my birthday.
Nice.
And he's getting something in the mail as a thank you. Some classic PA snackeries getting sent to where he lives.
Gotta love the PA snacks.
That's why we're the freaking fattest state in the in the states and maybe the planet. You got to think, just in our concentrated area alone.
Middlesworth, chips, Kabasi, in a lot of places.
Hopaloni.
Yeah,
Wild Bill's
Miller's
Wild Bill's
Hopaloni.
beef jerky.
I actually have
Oh,
I have a jar of Miller's hot bologna in my basement.
I bet you're breaking that out tomorrow night, aren't you?
I was thinking about cutting it up. I don't know yet.
You're gonna
Because
punish some motherfuckers with some nasty fucking hopaloni farts. What else is there? Utz.
Utz.
What are the chips out of Lewistown and Juniata County area? I can see them in my head, but I can't. Excuse us while we look for chips. Hartley's chips. Martin's. There's just too many snacks in this. Tasty Cakes, obviously.
Tasty Cakes was always a big one, and still a big one.
Yeah. But I'm hooking him up with a thank you gift for doing that because that's awesome.
That is awesome.
But I had to mention it because it's show related. I couldn't ignore it.
Yeah, but now we got to figure out how to record, us playing and the reactions. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have a good time.
As long as you don't pick the undead, we'll be fine.
No, I wouldn't do that. Also, before we get going, how bullshit is this freaking weather?
The fact that it's 70 degrees in almost middle of November, and I'm actually running my AC right now.
I have 2 fans going because I took my AC out in October thinking I wouldn't freaking need it.
And now it's 70 degrees, and now we do.
It's unreal.
Well, in Pennsylvania. Yeah, next week they want it into like the 40s.
Sunday they want it 48 degrees.
Again, Mother Nature doesn't know what it wants to do.
Nope.
Pennsylvania's
all right.
Screwy.
I'm done ranting. Let's get into this.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
No, you're not. For what we're getting into, no, you're not.
No, I'm at a point where the bitterness is over, so.
Well, it was a bad weekend for Philly in general. Of course, we all know the Phillies lost the World Series, unfortunately. And the Union, they lost their soccer championship.
Yes, Philly's the first city to lose 2 championships in one day. Another glorious distinction for Philadelphia sports history and their fans.
Shocking with that.
Now, for those of you listening and not viewing on YouTube, I'm wearing my NL Champions t-shirt from this season. And I have a new cap. I'm just not wearing it at the moment because it's freaking hot in this house.
Like I said, that's why I have my AC running in full blast right now. AC runs, ceiling fan going. Just to chill it down. So the first period, basically, the Phillies' future after the World Series. Do you think they have? Do you think they have what it takes to have a good season for next year?
Well, I think to get to this point, we got to kind of cover a quick and dirty of the season. I mean, we kind of touched on it off and on throughout the season, but I think a lot of the national broadcasters focused way too much on the team's record when they fired Girardi. I got so sick of hearing about the team's record when they fired Girardi. It's part of the story, but it's not the story.
No, it's not the story, but I think they probably want to make it the Cinderella story if they want it.
Well, yes, they were the team least likely to make it based on how they kind of started to fall off in that last week. Because I have the text from Tori, my co-host on the Philly pod, that can tell you how stressed and annoyed he was with how they were playing that final week.
Well, how many times I keep saying to you?
And I just said,
how many times did I text you on it?
You and him both. If I got a text from you, I got a text from him. If I got a text from him, I got a text from you. That's kind of how it was during that final week.
And the funny part to that is, I don't know. I've never met Tori.
And you should, because he's a great guy.
And the fact that that's how it was going was pretty funny.
We need to fix that. We need to rectify that.
Well, then let's fix it.
Because Tori, he doesn't live far from where we both work. He's only right over the river.
Over the river and through the woods.
But anyway, they did. I mean, and I got really sick of everyone saying to me they weren't supposed to make it this far. Yeah, I'm aware they weren't supposed to make it this far, but the fact that they got that far and it was against the Astros, it made me want to see them win it more, because then they could shove it up the sports media's ass. Because everyone was predicting them to lose, and them to lose badly. Not even win a game. Which I get because of how the Seattle series went and how the Yankees series went. I get why everyone was writing the Phils off. But it's like everyone who wrote the Phils off ignored all three of their previous series in the postseason.
Well, nobody expected them to beat the Cardinals.
And they did.
For starters, nobody expected them to beat the Braves, especially the Braves.
And I'm sorry, Braves fans, y'all need to get over it. It's been almost a month now. Let it go.
Let it go. Let it go.
I'm so sick of seeing third place team shouldn't be in the playoffs. Then y'all should have beat the third place team that shouldn't have been in the playoffs. Your guys didn't show up. Accept it. Move on. Was I pissed the Phils lost in the World Series? I was. It's a week later. I've accepted it. I've moved on. Show up in the postseason. Don't blow your wad getting 100+ wins.
Are you okay?
Braves fans might be the new most annoying fans in baseball.
Oh, that really? How close are they to Washington?
My stance on Washington's kind of softened thanks to Jonathan.
But no, nobody expected them to beat the Cardinals, especially being down.
Jonathan's the
2-0.
only diehard Nats fan I know, so I actually know a diehard Nats fan. Like my stance on the Mets, because I know Matt from the A Show, who's a diehard Mets fan. My stance on these teams and their fan bases alter because I know people personally. Like, I know some Braves fans, and I know they don't act like that, but overall, what I've been seeing from Braves fans, it's like, just get over it.
They weren't supposed to be there.
And personally, I think the Phils blew their load in that third game and just never recovered. They hit all those freaking home runs, and then they just gassed the shit out of themselves.
It was a home run derby that game.
This is going to have to get the explicit tag. You picked this topic. I'm just giving you my honest opinions.
No.
And to be fair, we have no listeners under 18. We don't have any listeners in the 18 to 20-something group anyway, so I'm going to curse.
No, they did. They really overshot themselves in the third game, and it just after that they just you're right. They just could not recover from any of that, because it literally was a home run derby that game.
The only thing that really got to me about the Astros was how smug their players are. Like, if I don't ever have to see Jose Altuve smirk ever again, I'd be happy. And the thing is, I know a lot of other baseball fans who aren't Phillies fans who feel the same way. Like, that's just a dude who should get pegged every freaking game. Like, I'm not saying you need to peg him in the head, but just give him a little something to wipe the stupid smile off his face. And that's Manfred's fault. That's not. Anyway. As far as the Phil's future goes, because that's where this all comes back to. I would like to see them come back. Here's the thing.
Do you think they can for who they have yet? Because I know there's been a lot of changes.
So Gibson's not coming back. Gibson plateaued and fell off the cliff this past season. Hand's not coming back. Hand wasn't a bad pitcher by any means. Nebel's not coming back. They spent money on him in free agency last year in a 1-year deal to try and earn himself a long-term contract this season, and he fell off a cliff. Robertson, oh God, it's going to kill me to say this because he's my age. Robertson is considered old for baseball. He was hit or miss. He showed up when he needed to, but there were times that he didn't show up when he needed to. And Syndergaard is another one of the free agents. I like Thor. I don't. And look, he's going to try to get at least a 1-year or 2-year deal in the starting rotation for a team. I don't blame him for wanting that. Based on the stuff he was throwing, I wouldn't mind if the Phils could try to get him as a reliever. I don't think he's going to want that, but I thought he added some. There was something he brought to the team as far as experience and being there. Eflin going hurt, but Eflin himself has been hurt most of the season. But he did show up in the bullpen for the postseason, and he's been with the Phils. He was part of the Jimmy Rollins trade. So the fact that he's gone, everyone from that's gone now. So that leaves Nola as the last person to have played with the guys from the 08 team.
Sort of like the good old trade tree.
I would have to look at the Jimmy Rollins trade tree to tell you if that's done or not. But Eflin was the last remaining piece of the Phillies side of that. Like the guys who were actually part of the trade. The people who were actually traded as part of the original sending Rollins out. Eflin was one of the pieces that came from that trade. He's now gone. And then that leaves Nola as the last person to have played with those guys. Segura going, it was pretty much assumed that it was pretty much assumed at the beginning of the season that they were going to decline his $17 million option. And with the shortstop free agent class they have this year, I get it. More than likely, we're looking at Trey Turner becoming a Philly, and that's been something that's been discussed in the rumor mill since the trade deadline. So this is something that's been talked about since the middle of the season. Was Trey Turner's going to become a Philly? Trey Turner wants to become a Philly. Philadelphia is blah, blah, blah. Like, those are all the headlines dating back to late July, early August. Now, I'm not a petty man.
Oh, no.
But if the Phils were to sign Dansby Swanson instead of Trey Turner, I wouldn't have a problem seeing those Braves fans' tears.
You wouldn't have a problem if it wasn't, as long as they shed it tears.
For the record, I actually like that. I like Dansby Swanson as a player, and it hates me how good he is against the Phils. However, Trey Turner's the guy that makes the most sense. He's played with Harper. He wants to be on an East Coast team that's going into the postseason. So you're looking at East Coast teams that are going into the postseason, the Yankees, the Mets, Phils, the Red Sox. I don't know what's going on with them. They were awful this year. The Orioles are on the upswing, and they were just sniffing at the freaking postseason. They weren't quite there yet. The Nats are in a rebuild. The Braves are an East Coast team, but they're really not an East Coast team.
Have the Nets been in a rebuild for a while now?
I don't know enough to say, and whatever I will say, I'm just going to get 100 messages from Jonathan telling me why I'm wrong. So, I mean,
Because the Brewers were only a game back from the Phillies.
plus, let's keep in mind here that the Nats are
I know they're
currently
on East
searching.
Coast, but
Keep in mind that the Nats are searching for a new owner, and I think a new owner is going to really revitalize that team. I don't know if you've seen this, but the people who own the Wizards, I forget, is the WNBA team, the Mystics, and the Capitals, the people who own all three of those teams are trying to buy the Nats.
I did see that.
I personally think that's a good thing. I think having ownership invested in the city the team is located is great because it means they care. It means that they want the people of the city to be invested in the teams.
Well, yeah, look what he's done with Washington.
Yeah, well, look at Pittsburgh and look at the guy who owns the Pirates, who doesn't give two flying Fs about that team or the city. It's just a freaking vanity thing for him. So that's why I go back to having owners who care about the city, who invest in the city. That's who should be owning teams.
No, I agree because you invest the money into it, then that's going to show that you invest into the city.
And plus, I think it's going to make fans care more because they see that the owner cares. That's my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, because I can never pronounce Ted's last name, the one who owns the Capitals and all them. I can never.
I just kept
Leonis?
to the people who own
Leonis?
I think it's Leonis, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
I think the Phils have enough of a core that all they need to do is add a few missing pieces to the puzzle, and they could be right back. And here's the thing: they are in, contrary to the Marlins and the Nats, and with the Nats being in a rebuild, you still have three of the top teams in baseball in that division. And it's almost a guarantee that with the current playoff alignment being what it is, that all three of those teams are probably going to be in the postseason unless an NL Central team really breaks out. Because in the NL, it's really the NL West and the NL East. The Central's there, but the only reason a Central team even got in is because there's a Central Division champion.
Yeah. Let's see.
Which this goes back to me and Brad talking about, is baseball better off going back to a two-division situation, or do they expand to a four-division situation? I have my personal issues with a four-division setup because I look at the NFL's four divisions and it makes zero freaking sense.
Well, look how the NHL was. Look how the NHL was how many years ago?
Because, and this is again something that Brad and I have talked about. Why is Dallas in the NFC East? Dallas isn't in the East. Dallas is in the freaking West. Why are they part of the NFC East if only for the rivalry with the Eagles?
Trust me, I understand with the, even with hockey, how they have divisions all messed up because they have Detroit in the East and they were in the West for years.
I don't get the thought process behind some of the the layouts for the divisions when it breaks down to a 4-division situation. I think 2 divisions simplifies everything. But I also understand that 4 divisions makes it look more competitive and therefore brings more people to the games. There's arguments, pros and cons for both. I don't know. I'm just here.
Well, I know hockey used to have 6 divisions, 3 in each side. I'm trying to think here. Come on.
Well, it would be 4 divisions per league, so it'd be like the NL would have an East, a West, a Midwest, and a South, and then so on. That's what. So.
Yeah, because I know the NHL right now just has 2. They have for the Western, the Central and Pacific. The East, they have Metro and Atlantic. But I know before they used to have 3 each.
And I don't think that's conducive.
I mean, either way, if they go, just leave it as it is and be done with it at this point.
Well, the issue is that, I mean, and you look at the AL Central, it's the Central divisions in baseball currently aren't crazy exciting compared to what you have going on in the AL West with the Mariners on the upswing becoming super competitive and making playoff runs for the first time in 20 years. And you have what's going on with the Astros, and then the NL West, you got the Dodgers and the Padres and the Giants when they do show up. I mean, there's reasons why the West and the East Coast teams get so much attention. It's because they're making exciting baseball. They're playing exciting baseball. You want to watch them. Unlike Cardinals fans who leave as soon as their team goes down. But it's baseball heaven, so I've been told.
Cardinals is baseball heaven?
Oh, you didn't hear that during the games? I pick up on everything because I listen for the
I must have missed that one. I must have missed that one. Because all I know is I was going nuts when they were down 2-0 in the 9th in Game 1 and came back to win it. I was losing my mind on that.
But I think if the Phils make the right moves, in the offseason, I definitely think Trey Turner's coming to the Phils. It's been rumored from so long from so many sources outside of Philly that it just seems like that's a given, especially with the word coming out of the GM meetings this past week. I'd like to see them add another starter. I think that would be great. I believe right now the most logical pitcher for them to pick up is Carlos Rondon. So we'll see. I think the bullpen's pretty. What we saw of the bullpen, it isn't a weakness at this point. That bullpen delivered. Even when Alvarado got shaky, other guys came in and pitched solid innings after that.
Now, I have to ask you this, because this was something I was asked, and now I have to ask you.
I may not have the answer, but okay.
What was your thought when they pulled Wheeler in Game 6?
Okay, so it's a multi-layered answer. Because there's still that part of me that's very old school. And look, we watched Doc pitch 100+ pitches a game, but he was hitting 100+ pitches in the 9th inning, pitching a complete game. These guys are hitting 90 pitches by like the 6th inning. I get Topper's reasoning was twofold. He thought the lefty against lefty approach was the better concept, and that's the analytical part of the game that is unfortunately part of the game. And I also think he wanted to try and preserve Wheeler's arm for whatever could come next if he needed to use him on short rest, an inning or two of relief in Game 7. I would have personally, I would have rather have seen if Wheeler could pitch himself out of the jam, because I think he had better understanding of what those guys were bringing to the plate that night.
Because
But-
that turned the game. Because that was a turning point for the game.
But here's the thing: it would have been a turning point for the game if Wheeler stayed in and gave up those runs.
True.
So to blame Topper for what looked
Well, it's
like
not
to be an
blaming him,
inevitable
it's just-
situation, a lot of people are blaming him.
I did see that. I mean, to me, like you said, it's all a strategic game of trying to match up who you think is gonna, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Right, and in that case, they lost, and I can't be upset because this postseason was the most fun I had watching baseball since 2009. It was heartbreaking at the end, but it wasn't like
Also,
it wasn't
back in
like Howard.
2009.
Oh, it wasn't like the ground rule double that was called a home run for A-Rod. Yeah, that was bullshit. It wasn't like seeing Howard pull his Achilles run into first base. Like it wasn't this soul crushing loss. Although fuck Fox Sports for showing a picture of Joe Carter during Game 6 from Game 6 of '93. That's low class on Fox's part. But anyway,
Are you okay?
I'm fine. It's
I think
You know
I
what?
struck a nerve.
okay. So one more thing about the World Series. As overall, John Smoltz didn't bother me too much as an analyst. He brought a lot of really good insight to the pitching aspect of the game, which typically it's normally guys who play in the infield or the outfield or catchers who tend to call baseball games as an analyst. I really enjoyed Smoltz's insight, but someone needs to teach that man less is more. That dude had diarrhea of the mouth every freaking game. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying he's gotta let the game breathe. He doesn't have to constantly talk, which I'm a hypocrite because I've been running my mouth this whole first period. But I'm not paid millions of dollars to call baseball on national TV. So
Only if we were.
yeah, right. I think if they make the right moves, they'll be back. But we have to see because there's a lot of unknowns. We don't know what's going on with Bryce's elbow and his UCL tear yet. We don't know if he needs Tommy John. We don't know if he's going to be advised to just rest and see how it goes. Because if he gets Tommy John, there's a good chunk of the year we're not going to have Bryce.
Yeah.
And while the team played great without Bryce, he's still an integral part of that team.
Oh yeah.
So that's my piece. I'm done.
You good?
Fuck Jose Altuve. I'm good.
Oh jeez. On that note, we'll end the first period on that. We'll be right back.